Today I show you how to make sure that your input fields are always visible on the screen. On Android this is very simple. When you click on the input field, the keyboard appears, and with a button click you can make it disappear. You click again, it comes up. So you can see that in Android the input field is always visible. On iOS you can reach the same thing. So when you click inside the input field, it appears, and then you can make sure that the keyboard disappear, and then the input field is going back to its place. So see it again, and disappears. Okay, let's see how this is made in the practice. So let's go back at first to the Android. We start with the Android because Android is pretty much simple to do this. Actually, the system itself makes sure that your application is always showing the right field. So you don't need to do anything else, just to make your forms or fragments, and place the inputs in the screen, and then everything is done by the system. So you can see that I created a simple constraint layout filling the complete screen. Then I added a text field and an edit text field or edit text view, and I constrain them to the bottom of the screen to make sure that when the keyboard is appearing, then theoretically it should hide the input field, but as you could see, it's simply moving up this field, and then the keyboard is not covering it at all. And when you finish the editing of this field, then the keyboard can be hidden, and then everything moves back into its place. So if you as you can see, there is no code behind, so you just have the fragment code created. I didn't even link anything here or didn't even add anything to this. So when I'm running this application again, then actually this is what you can see. So when I click into the field, keyboard appears, and when I'm disappearing it, then the field is going back to the bottom of the screen. Okay, so this is the Android version. As you can see, it's very simple. You don't need to do anything. System is making sure that everything is working as you expected. So let's see how this works in the iOS case. Okay. So in the iOS case, I created a similar layout. So I just put on the screen a label field and a text view field, and link them to the bottom of the screen. So in this case, when I click into the text view or text field, then the keyboard will pop up, and then it should move up, just as in the Android case. However, in iOS this is not that simple. So I was taking out now the code which is basically make the behavior of this similar to the Android case. But let's see what happens if I'm just adding these fields into the application, and I'm not doing anything else to make sure that the keyboard is not hiding the input view. So let's run the application. So you can see that the application started. We have the label, we have the text field, and when I click into the text field, the keyboard appears, and it's hiding the input field itself. And even I can't do anything with this, just I can't can't really make it disappear. So this is not the right behavior. If the application would run like this, then of course the user couldn't use it properly. So what we need to do, at first I already showed you that how you can add extra buttons to the keyboard. So let's add that first, that we can make the keyboard disappear just like in the Android version. You have a little button at the bottom left corner of the keyboard, and if you don't need the keyboard, you can just click on it, and then you can make it disappear. So how we can do this, that I already showed you in a previous tutorial, that you can add a toolbar to the keyboard, and let's do this like this. So we just create the toolbar. We make it sure that it has a kind of color. We make it completely covering the screen, the screen width actually. And then we add the button, and for that button we are defining a keyboard height function. So when we click on this button, then the keyboard should disappear. And then we need to add the toolbar to the keyboard when we are clicking into the text field. So if we go back here and we check the assistant, so here you can see actually that I created two things. So I was having this text field linked to the view controller, or reference to the view controller, named by key text. So here you can see that this key text UI text field is linked to the storyboard. Okay, so if we are going back, then the input accessory view will be the toolbar what we created. And when we click on the done button, then the function keyboard height will appear, and then we tell to the system that the key text and editing is done. So we finished the editing of that field, and this will make the keyboard disappear. So I just removed the additional content, so we will have the toolbar added, and the accessory view will be added to the toolbar. So let's run the application. Okay, so we have the text field. When we click in it, okay, so as you can see that we have the toolbar added, we have the keyboard appearing, but actually still covering the text field, so we can't see what we are doing. Now we can type in, of course, what we want, and when we click on the done, this disappears, and we can see that what we typed in, but this is not the right behavior. We need to do it right, so we need to see what we are typing. So let's go back again to the application, and what we need to do is that basically when the keyboard is appearing, it is generating a default system notification. And what we can do is that we do something at that time. So we need to add this notification to the or let's say the observer for this notification into the code, which means that when this notification happens, or when the keyboard appearing or disappearing, then this will notify the application, and we can run a function based on this notification. So what we need to do is that we need to add the notification observer to the app itself, or to the code itself. So we just add this line, notification center default add observer. The self will mean that it will notify this this code, or this class here. Then we need to define the selector, or the function, what we need to, or what we want to use, or what we want to call when something happens in the system. And then we need to tell to the system that which notification we want to catch. So in our case, we need to catch the keyboard will show notification. So this will basically run when the keyboard is appearing on the screen. And we also had another one that we also do something when the keyboard is disappearing. So the setup is pretty much the same. The only thing is different, that we need to call, or we need to catch the will hide notification. So keyboard will hide notification. And currently we are doing it, or we are catching it with the same function. And why we do it like this? Because we just can differentiate between the hide on or unhide, or disappearance of the keyboard, and we can basically take actions at the same function. If you would like to define something different, you can separate these functions. Okay, so yeah, so this code we also add. This is not really important right now, but for the notification itself, or when we are finishing the editing, then we should have this function code. So here is the handle keyboard notification. So this is the notification handler, what we are using to basically decide what we do when the keyboard is appearing and when it is disappearing. And what we need to do here is that basically we need to tell to the application that what is on the screen should be moved by the size of the keyboard, because this is not done by the system, so we need to do it by ourselves. And how we can do it, that in the storyboard we just have these constraints here, and because the keyboard will appear at the bottom of the screen, we can link, or we can reference this bottom constraint here, this little one here. We can reference to the code itself, and as you can see, it's already referenced in my code with the name of bottom constraint. So this is here, bottom constraint, NS layout constraint. So this is the type of the constraint type. So this and what we also need to mention it here, that when we have this constraint, now where is the constraint itself? So again, so here you can see that it's currently set to 16 dots. So this we will use in the code, because we need to go back to this position. If you give another position in the code, then of course it will move to a different location. Okay, so what we are doing here, so when the notification is received by the application, then it will call this function, and it will give as a variable a notification type into this function. So this will be sent to the handler, and based on that we will know that which notification we received. So this is why we can use the same function for the two different things, so when the keyboard is showing up or it's hiding. So then we need to check, of course, if we have the user info from these notification, and this is important because if we might not have anything or we are receiving wrong information here, then we shouldn't do anything with the app itself. So what we need to take at first, of course, because we want to move the whole screen a little bit up or down. When the keyboard appearing, we will move it up. When disappearing, we move it down. We need to get that the keyboard is the keyboard size itself. So what is the actual keyboard size? And this we can get from the user info. And as you can see from the user info, the keyboard frame info key we take, and we take from this object the rectangular value of the keyboard frame. So when we will see or we will get this, then it will give us a rectangular value. So it will show the actual position and width and the height of the keyboard frame itself. So then we need to check that which notification we received. So we are taking that the notification name will tell us that what keyboard notification we got, and if we got the keyboard will show notification, then we generate basically a boolean value where the is keyboard showing will be true if the keyboard is showing, and it will be false if this will disappear. So then we don't need to do anything else, just we need to tell to the system that the bottom constraint should be increased or should be set back to the original value. So if the keyboard is showing, we will move up the screen with the keyboard frame height, and we add this 16 dots size, which was the original distance from the screen of the text field, and we just move it up with this amount, which is the keyboard frame height value. And when the keyboard is disappearing, then we set back this constraint to the 16, and this will make sure that we are having the right position. And then we just add an additional thing that we will animate this movement. So basically the text field will not just jump to its position, but it will move with a speed. Okay, so once we added all this code into our system, okay, sorry, I forgot to delete this here. So now we can run the application. And then when we click into the text field, the keyboard is appearing, and when we click on the done, so when it is this and we make it disappear, then the whole text field and label goes back to its original position. So basically this is how you can do the job. Of course, when you type something, it will appear and you can see what you are doing. What we also need to tell that depends on how you set up your screen, that you need to make sure that these values what you are setting here in this code, so here actually that the keyboard frame and plus 16, so you need to make sure that this constraint is handled on the right way. So if you might have this whole thing reversed, so I would say that here the safe area bottom or we reverse the second and first, then you can see that it's minus. So then you need to make sure also that you are calculating on the right way. So when you have the keyboard frame height used, then this should be minus, and also this should be minus, and here as well we should use minus values, otherwise it would move to the other direction. So let's see how it works. It should work on the same way as it worked before. So when we click on it, it moves up. When we click on it, it moves back. But if we would not make this this change here, and everything should be staying like it was. Don't need the plus here. So you can see that it's not doing the job, it's moving to the other direction. And even when I click on the down, it moved down a bit. So it actually moved down to the bottom of the screen. When I do it again, you can see that it goes back to the wrong position. So it is very important that you take into account what you were using here. So if it is the opposite direction, or you have this constant on a different way, then you need to make sure that it's working on, or you use the same directions. You add or divide or take out the values as required. Okay, so that's all for today, and if you enjoyed the tutorial, then please don't forget to subscribe for the next trainings. Thank you and bye.